The goal of training is action, right? So we coach our agents and we train our agents to do certain things, but if they're not taking action, they're not going to see the results, and neither will we as their team leader or their broker owner. And so being able to see the activity that the agents were doing or not doing, for that matter, allowed us to better coach them, train them, educate them, guide them, that sort of thing.
The management and transparency is what's very important. So once you submit a referral, you're going to have your own Home Advantage account, and it's going to tell you where everything sits. So if you have 10 referrals that you've sent into the network, it's going to give you all 10 referrals. It's going to tell you every milestone that client is sitting in, whether they're touring homes, whether they're in escrow. And you now can manage through the Home Advantage application as far as what your pipeline looks like for the referrals that you've sent. And so it's pretty sophisticated, and it's all click of a button, guys.
Hey everyone, welcome to the webinar. We're so happy to have you today. We're very excited about this one. We've got a lot of great content, and the name of the webinar, hopefully you're in the right spot, is called Going Mobile to Make Millions. And really it's going to be how to leverage the HomeStack app with Follow Up Boss together to convert better, to make more money. It's going to be full of mobile strategies, follow-up strategies, best practices. And without further ado, my name is Andrew Dorn, and I'm going to go over some housekeeping items in a second, as well as what we're going to cover today in a little more detail. But first and foremost, I would like to introduce myself. I've been in the real estate industry for over 20 years. And I'm really happy to be with Follow Up Boss because we really are customer focused, and we just have fantastic customers that are really crushing it in the real estate space. So it's exciting to be here right now. And secondly, I want to introduce two awesome people that help run and manage the client experience team at HomeStack, Rachel Paolucci and Evey Simon. Rachel, how's it going today?
Going great, Andrew.
Awesome. You look great. All of you look great. I wish I looked that good. And then also, Evey, how you doing today?
Doing great. Glad to be here. Thank you for the intro.
Wonderful. Yeah. Love seeing the smiling faces. I think it's because you know what's about ready to happen. Some great content is about to be dropped. And now for our special guest, she leads a very highly successful team of 19 agents and actually 6 admin folks on the team as well in Tampa, Florida, as part of eXp Realty, Kendall Bonner, who leads the Kendall Bonner team. How you doing, Kendall?
Hey, Andrew, so good to be here. This is such an honor. I love these different communities that I get the privilege to be a part of. So it's super, super cool to combine them and do a collaboration today.
Well, we all appreciate you greatly, and we can't wait for all the knowledge you're going to share. I wanted to share some quick housekeeping real quick. This is being recorded, okay? That's probably the number one question we get. It is being recorded, and it will be shared once it is ready. Also, we have the chat box. Please use the chat box because we'll be looking at that throughout. We want this to be interactive. In fact, let's make it interactive right now. I was just talking to the wonderful ladies about this. How about you type in what town or city you're in right now? So share that with us. And by the way, if you're outside of the US, please, you might be on vacation somewhere or living somewhere else. Sometimes we have people from all over the world. So share that. And then actually, this is even more important. Can you type in what you really came here to learn? What's the one thing you want to take away today? What's the number one thing you were hoping that we would cover? So we see that as well. And then lastly, we will have time for Q&A at the end. I think we'll have time to answer all the questions at the end, and we'll try to look for relevant ones throughout live as well. So let's get on to what we're going to learn today. Well, we're going to learn how to connect better with our clients based on actual search data. What they're searching will help us, knowing that information will help us connect. Also, how the HomeStack app really seamlessly connects with Follow Up Boss. It's a great partnership, integration relationship that can make you more successful. And then we'll talk about next level follow-up, with push notifications and email drips, and Kendall's doing a great job with that, and her team. So looking forward to that. And then throughout, I think you're going to see a lot of proven, successful best practices and strategies for maximizing conversion. And that was a long monologue for me, but hopefully we set the stage for this awesome webinar that I'm really excited to be a part of. So I think we're going to switch screens now. And there we go.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Rachel from HomeStack here. Excited to be with everyone today. And more than that, we are excited to have the amazing Kendall Bonner with us. Hi, Kendall.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So let's kick it off. You started your team from scratch back in 2021. You now have 19 agents, 6 staff. Give us a little background on yourself, your real estate business, where you're at today, and where you want to take it in the future.
Yeah, well, again, thank you for having me here. And thank you to all the wonderful people that are taking time out of their day today to kind of check in and listen to this webinar. I sincerely appreciate you. So anyway, a little bit about me. Gosh, I've been in the real estate industry probably, 12, 13 years now. I started out as an attorney, graduated law school at 24, never wanted to actually practice law. It was one of those situations where my mom was like, JD, MD, PhD, pick one. So I got a JD. And then through law school, my joke was, I'm just here to get my MRS degree. And I was totally just kidding. But I met my husband in law school, and we basically got married on Saturday, graduated law school on Sunday. By Tuesday, we're in the car driving from Southern California to Tampa, Florida, where we have been for the last 20 years. And we'll be celebrating 20 years married in May. So I feel like that's something we're celebrating. But anyway, I had decided after practicing law for several years that I wanted to change. And so I got into real estate. And honestly, I started out as a listing agent, and I fell in love with our industry. I fell in love with this business. And back then, the trajectory of my career, I never could have guessed where it would lead me, but I'm so honored to be where I'm at today. And I did spend a few years, for those of you that know me, as a broker owner of a RE/MAX franchise here in Tampa. And I think I did that for about 8 or 9 years. And then just recently merged that RE/MAX with another one, left them with, had those agents merge with a really great RE/MAX franchise here locally, and I parceled off my team to join EXP. I just felt like the team really became my passion. I've really enjoyed growing a team and growing that business. I have always had a passion for changing people's lives and helping people really kind of take their business to the next level. And the team just provided an opportunity to do that at an even deeper level than I was able to do that at the brokerage level. And while also getting to have fun, because I get to play with tech tools, which everyone knows I'm a techie. I love technology. I love marketing. And have a passion for lead generation. So the team really allowed me to really focus on that skill set, practice it, learn it, test it, and then teach and share what I've learned through the process. So this is an exact culmination of what I like to do, which is learn, test, teach. And HomeStack plus Follow Up Boss was, really a great playground for me to do that. So it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Congratulations on the wedding anniversary and joining EXP and all of the cool stuff you have on the horizon. Let's talk a little bit about when you were starting your team, when you were putting things together, getting your systems in place. Did you have any hurdles or obstacles? And then why did you kind of choose Follow Up Boss out of all of the many CRMs that are out there?
Yeah, so I think every real estate professional has hurdles.
Yeah.
Right? And I think we all have
every day, right? Every day.
And I think we often all have some of the same hurdles, when I mean, and it goes back to both the basics as well as the complex, right? So of course, some of your initial hurdles are lead generation. How am I going to get my leads? How am I going to get my opportunities? I always hated calling people leads. I like calling them opportunities, right? So how am I going to get my opportunities? And then once I get my opportunities, how am I going to manage them all? Like, when you do real estate, a lot of times you aren't just working with one or two clients at a time. You're working hopefully in scale, right? So you want to work with 10 or 20 or 30, sometimes hundreds, sometimes thousands of opportunities every single day. And so for me, I'm still not in production. I got out of production several years back as a broker owner, and that continued even through the team model. So I do want to encourage people out there who are thinking, about starting a team or worried about how they would leverage all of that. A team does offer leverage, and I was able to build a team without ever going back to sell a home. And so you can do that. But when you're doing that, you have to be able to find ways to, manage transparency, accountability, analytics and data. You want all those things because those are the things you need to be monitoring as a part of running a successful business and a successful organization. And so for me, some of those challenges were solved by adding the right systems and tools to help me see things on both the micro and the macro scale, right? And that's super important, I think, in leading any business or any organization. You have to be able to see what's happening in your business, to monitor it, and to, really duplicate and scale it as well, right? So for me, one of the tools that I ended up looking into, or one of the most valuable tools, I think, of any real estate organization and any business in particular, is having that contact or customer relationship management system, better known as a CRM. And I realized, and actually I got introduced to Follow Up Boss even before I started my team. I actually implemented it from a recruiting standpoint. I use that tool for recruiting first. And so it really got exposed me to all the ways that I can use it as a user, even though I wasn't in production as a sales agent, right? So I use it from a recruiting standpoint. So I had an interesting or different introduction into Follow Up Boss's most. But, for me, Follow Up Boss really solved a lot of those transparency issues, the accountability issues, the data issues, like being able to see it all, track it, understand all the various lead sources I have, where they're coming from, so that I can, review ROI and making sure that, hey, this is working over here, but this isn't working over there, and allowed me to see all of that. And so I thought that was really great. It also allowed me to see the activity of my agents, right? Because the goal of training is action, right? So we coach our agents and we train our agents to do certain things, but if they're not taking action, they're not going to see the results, and neither will we as their team leader or their broker owner. And so being able to see the activity that the agents were doing or not doing, for that matter, allowed us to better coach them, train them, educate them, guide them, that sort of thing. So that's the problem that I saw, one of the biggest ones, and also how Follow Up Boss saw that, how they solved it for me.
Yeah, because there are a lot of CRMs out there now. So it sounds like Follow Up Boss can take care of the transparency, the accountability, time saving, especially when you do start to get to the level where you are at and you have that many people on a team. So that's awesome. So once you had your systems in place, your Follow Up Boss is rolling, it seemed like the next logical step was to go mobile. Why did you come to HomeStack to develop your white label mobile app?
Yeah. So, and before I actually answer the why HomeStack, I think it's also important to answer, why Follow Up Boss in particular. I do want to kind of bridge the two. For me, Follow Up Boss, the reason I chose Follow Up Boss was I love a system that is only tries to do what it does really, really well. So to me, like having a, Follow Up Boss is a top-notch CRM I couldn't speak higher of it. I pay, and have paid for various reasons, right? From multiple CRMs, just because, hey, my website that I use comes with a CRM. The brokerage that I am with, both the current one and the previous one, came with the CRM, and I still chose to pay for Follow Up Boss. And my husband and I both agree it's worth every penny. My agents love it. It's just become an integral part of our system. But one of the things I love about Follow Up Boss in particular is because its goal is to be a focused CRM, it integrates with so many other great tools. And so the fact that it integrates so well with other tools makes it a great solution for a number of reasons. And so, I would say about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, I met a gentleman. I was going to, his name is Daniel Beer, for those of you guys that know him. I was at an event with Daniel Beer. We coach with the same coach, John Cheplack. And so it's a really great community. It's a great group of people who are some of the top leaders, thought leaders, operators in the world, in these rooms, people who are, I always say, get in a room with people who are smarter than you so you can learn from them. But it's also a room that expects contribution. And so Dan Beer was talking about this app that he was using with his business. And I was super intrigued because, again, it ticked my boxes. It ticked the technology box. It ticked the marketing box. It ticked the lead generation box. And it also, I believe technology should do a couple of things always. It should enhance the customer's experience, and it should make the agent's life more efficient. And this combination of HomeStack plus Follow Boss, it does that. It creates efficiencies, and it also creates an experience for the consumer that's more in alignment with what they're looking for, right? So I raised my hand basically, essentially, and asked for more info on this app. And, learning how Dan was using it, and it became, after learning more, like a no-brainer for me, like, absolutely, this makes sense. And then I want to get into the whys behind that, but I want this to be conversational. So I don't want to do a whole.
No, I love that, because that kind of brought us to how important is it to you to have all your systems integrated, to have all that data and search behavior that's happening in your app come into your Follow Up Boss. Clearly you're a busy person. And so how important is it that all your systems are talking? You're building an ecosystem. Everything's kind of interconnected.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super important, because it's no bueno when you have to go from one system to the next to have a singular conversation with a customer, right? Yeah. And so it's really nice to have a singular platform, like a single sign-on, where you can have all these different things kind of to speak to each other. For example, many of us have multiple lead sources, right? Very few of us have one. And wouldn't it would be a pain if you had to go to each lead source separately to know what's going on, to talk to those customers, and or to engage with the customer. And so I really love the integration between Follow Up Boss and HomeStack, because there's a chat feature in the app that's really great, that and you get to experience with, I don't have to have my agents logging into multiple tools to engage with their customer. So they can log into Follow Up Boss and see communications between themselves and the customer. They can see, just like how a customer might be on a website and heart a property, they can see when they heart a property in the app as well, all in one place. And so that way you don't have duplicative efforts, and you don't have wasted time by the agent or the customer trying to go in multiple places to get the experience they're looking for. I mean, the reality is, and I'm sure some people are like, oh my, like our MLS comes with an app, right? That's for free that they can use. But let me tell you guys, it's not the same as this. Number one, that app is not customizable.
Mhm.
My app is customizable. It's branded to me. It's available on the App Store and the Google Play Store. I mean, people just will download it because they're like, oh, I'm looking for an app to search for homes. And it allows me to have that local connection with the consumers that are looking for homes in our area. And so that's really, really neat. Another feature that I love about it, and why the integrations are so important, is because I get to communicate with the customer in mass as well, right? I mean, I get to send out push notifications. I get to also lower the risk of the customer leaving my platform to go to other paid platforms, so that I can protect that relationship as much as possible. Because I mean, the reality is a lot of customers are going to find us, and not just me, they're going to find you and you and you and you, right? But eventually, those of us that are doing this, I'll say correctly, we're going to funnel those people into our ecosystem and into our world. And so when you do that, you start to protect those opportunities from being purchased, I'll say, by other lead generators. And so by giving them a good experience and giving them something that the customer can enjoy, right, in the way that they want to enjoy it, because no one wants to look at a web browser site on their phone. They like an app experience on their phone, which is where they spend 90% of their time. That's the kind of thing that we want to do for our customers, is give them what they want, when they want it, where they want it, and how they want it.
You know what? It's crazy that she just covered that, because I'm looking here. First of all, thank you for everybody in the chat. I mean, we have Denver, Colorado, we have New Jersey, Arizona, Boston, Massachusetts, Ventura, California. Thank you guys so much for saying where you are. But the common theme, Rachel and Evey, is wanting to learn about how technology can help you create better relationships or connect better. And that's what we're right in the meat of. So we're right in the heart of what people want to learn.
I love that. I love that. Thank you guys for putting stuff into the chat. That's amazing. About, a year ago, we realized that it wasn't even an option to do a direct integration with Follow Up Boss and our mobile apps. It was like, we were getting so many teams, so many brokerages that just needed these systems connected. They live in their Follow Up Boss dashboard. And they wanted to keep a pulse on what their clients are searching, saving, favoriting, where they're looking, and just be able to kind of seamlessly do that. So we kind of talked with Kendall, we talked with Preston Guyton, like a lot of our top teams who are using Follow Up Boss, and got this feedback. And so we really made it the best, most seamless integration that we possibly can. Ev, do you want to pull up actually what the Follow Up Boss dashboard looks like when a lead comes in, and we'll kind of do a little bit of that?
Absolutely. And kind of to piggyback off of what Kendall was saying and everyone was saying, really about bringing that convenience to the consumer and getting to where they're at on mobile. I think people in general do business with those that bring them value and are convenient to do business with. We are used to things being at our fingertips, being mobile, being really, kind of that instant gratification. That's always been really difficult sometimes for agents to deliver, because they're out in the field, they're doing 100 things at once. And so for them to stay organized and be able to give that to the consumer, it's not as easy as it looks. The consumer wants things immediately. They don't realize how much work is being done on the back end to give that to them. So when it comes to technology making it easier for agents to do their business and bring that value, I do think these are the types of tools that are really impactful. And one of those is the fact that you can stay more organized on the back end and obviously have that communication tool. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there. If you want to stop the share, Rachel, to let me kind of take over there.
So I'm just going
to go ahead.
If you want to do answer any of the questions that were coming through, but go for it, Ev. Share.
Sure. I just wanted to kind of say, this is actually an example. So Rachel was a lead or opportunity that came in under one of Kendall's agents here. And so we wanted to use this as an example. So when Rachel signed up here onto the app, it's going to show that it's imported. It's going to show the information here. We're in blur mode, but the source is going to show that it came in through your app. So this is all going to be organized. You can kind of understand the relationship here. there. Kiara did a great job and kind of, notated that she reached out on the app in regards to seeing a property. There was a showing request to see the property, along with a message that this house is awesome, let's see it. There's comments being made under the listing itself. So as you can see, as these activities are coming through, they're coming through so that you can see them when you're inside of your Follow Up Boss. I know that most people, or say most agents, operate out of their CRM on a daily basis, just like Kendall said, or even for their, team lead or their broker, they want to notate what they're doing and what that action is. Because if they're being provided leads by, their team lead, there's usually a level of accountability that's there. And there's usually some rules in place of like, when you interact with someone for the first time, when you're logging that activity. And then moving on from that, it's obviously important to really understand what the consumer is doing. So the HomeStack obviously has their dashboard. If you're in the app, you have a full list of insights that are happening in real time. But as you're logging into Follow Up Boss daily and you just want to see that interaction, understand what stage you're in with this particular opportunity, this is where you're going to go. This is where you're going to see all of this funneling in. So that's kind of an example. Just wanted to give you guys a visual on that so you understand how that works.
Yeah,
I'll let you take
that.
over screen share again right here.
Cool.
And I know we did get a few questions that came through. I know we want to leave Q&A to the end to keep going, but just want to answer a few of these because I know they're really important.
I think there's like a good point. Yeah, there's some important ones in there.
So I got one that says data is gold. Is your data safe as you enter it with your contacts? I would hope that any system you sign up for, any service, that should be a number one prerequisite. Yes, absolutely. Your information's safe. And in fact, one of the things that we always say at HomeStack when people are saying like, how do I promote my app effectively and how do I talk about it? One of the points we actually say is to let them know like your information's safe. It's not being sold to third-party advertisers like it is if you're inquiring on Zillow, you're being sent out to several different lenders, you're being sent out to several different agents to call. And that's going to be something that's actually really important to us. And then I know the next one is really important too. Can each agent on the HomeStack link their own respective Follow Up Boss account? I've only been able to get us linked to one account. Yes, you can. If you're having trouble with that whatsoever, make sure you send in an inquiry to support@homestack.com and we'll make sure to get your Follow Up Boss linked properly for you on the back end.
Kendall, one of the things that you mentioned last week when we were talking was the power of stages within Follow Up Boss. So stages that actually trigger automation or action plans. And so in other words, if you change your stages correctly, then the appropriate relevant follow-up will happen. When did you start to really leverage that? And maybe you can share an example of how that's leveraged.
Yeah, absolutely. So I probably started with utilizing stages, action plans, and automations right away while using the platform, just because it's part of the beauty of the tool, right? Is that you have access to this piece. So I would say this, like an example of how you might properly use stages is when a lead comes into your platform, it's going to be staged lead, right? And it's new. We allow our agents we give them up to 2 weeks to make contact with that lead or that opportunity. I wish I could change that, by the way, and Follow Boss.
I like that.
Oh, that'd be cool. I like that feedback.
I don't see why not. You can customize it.
I want to change that one. So, but it comes in as lead, and then we give them, like I said, up to 14 days to change that. And the goal during those 14 days is for the agent to make contact with the customer. Mm-hmm. And the whole goal of contact is to find out the customer's timeline, right? Because we all know customers, we have our process, but they have theirs. And a part of their process is they come into our funnel at various stages, right? Some are 3 to 6 months out, some are ready today, some are 12 to 24 months out from wanting to actually take action in real estate. So because of that, a stage becomes really important because then we get to quantify or qualify them into a different group based on their timeline, right? And that becomes really important with communication because while it would be great to send personalized, super custom content to each individual opportunity that you work with or that you come into contact with, it's really not scalable to do that, right? So it's important to have some content that is focused on a group of people as opposed to just the individual. And so that's where action plans come in. Action plans are Follow Up Boss's term for, like a customer journey, a campaign, things like that, that different other companies might use. But in Follow Up Boss world, our lingo is action plan. And so this action plan is customizable. What's beautiful about Follow Boss, it comes preloaded with tons of action plans.
Right.
Action plans have been used by others, but you can also build your own. And so you can leverage what's given to you, or you can customize and create your own. And in these action plans, you can create triggers, meaning like, hey, when you can create an automation so that when you change the stage, an action plan automatically kicks off. And then with those action plans, you can have text templates in there. You can have email templates loaded in there. You can have actions for it to be tagged a particular way. You can have actions for, hey, I want a note to be created. I want this to be assigned to this person at this point. You can pretty much build a journey for the customer that is as short or as long as you'd like. Like I have journeys or action plans in my system that are 5 years long. And so it allows us to stay in communication with that customer. And I will tell you, every month, one of my agents will say, yep, thank God for those action plans, because I just got a customer that I haven't called in however long, but because they're getting my emails and they're checking their emails, they're clicking on the link and they finally just called me because they're ready now.
One of the things I love you just said is you talked about stages and action plans as far as the life of the client. And one thing I've never really liked is that some agents call people past clients. No, they're clients. If you stay relevant and you stay in touch and you use Follow Up Boss or whatever you're using, then they're clients. Like you don't hear doctors say, oh yeah, he was a past patient. I mean, that person's probably dead if they're past, right? They're a patient. Yeah. And so I think I love how you described it in the terms of the life of the client relationship. They're not past clients. They're clients whether they're moving 15 years out, 30 years out, or next week.
Well, it's funny. I changed the stage past client and my Follow Boss to future home seller.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that's so refreshing.
Yes. So we have no past clients in our system. They're all future home sellers because that's the reality, right? Once you sell them a house, or whether, or you sold them a house, and they buy another one, they're another future home seller. And if you think about it from that perspective, are you going to call future home sellers? Yes. People don't call their past clients, but they will call a future home seller.
I'm writing that one down. That is great.
We recently had, I was recently on with clients who've had a HomeStack app for, years now. They've been in the business, husband and wife team for like 30 years. And they were like, we love our app because now it's our past clients' kids who are buying homes that we're selling to, and it's making us look cool to them. So I thought that was like hysterical. They're like, we love this like next generation coming in. And even though we've been in the business for 30 years, having these tools makes us look relevant, and it makes us look like we're still in the game and like we know what we're doing. So I thought that was just kind of cool, but cool.
And people love apps. I mean, we're on our phones. It's the first thing we look at when we wake up. It's the last thing we put down before we go to bed. And it's the thing we look at throughout the day. I mean, it's very rare that our phone is more than arm's length away from us at any time. And so people want to, be efficient during times of inefficiency, right? Standing in line, things like that. So what better thing to do than pull up a tool on your phone to, whether it's playing a game, to keep your brain working and exercised, right? Or reading your email, or, hey, I'm in the home buying process. I'm thinking about doing something, or I'm thinking about selling my home. Let me gain knowledge. Let me get experience with what's happening in the marketplace right now, because they don't have access to stats and statistics and data the way that we do. They
Yeah.
can look at the relevant properties. That's what they're going to be doing, whether they're thinking about buying or selling. And so they're exploring their options and what's out there. And so why not be where they're at, which is on their phone?
For sure. So I know we only have about 15 minutes left here, so I want to make sure that we get to our 4 takeaways, which we already kind of covered one of them. But I wanted to jump into, kind of our first takeaway. All of our webinars that we do, we always want to make sure you guys are really leaving with some meat and some content that you can put into action like today. And Kendall's team does this really well, which is why we had her on here. So the first takeaway we have on here is lead gen. Everyone always wants to know about lead gen. They want to talk about it. It's something that's kind of bringing in that top of funnel that is absolutely necessary for your business model. There's 2 points I want to hit on this. Number one, for the HomeStack current clients that are on the call today, I know a lot of you are, very versed on sharing your app on social media, pushing it out, everywhere you can to get that lead. And I know today we're kind of talking about when a new HomeStack lead comes into Follow Up Boss, but I want to kind of flip that around a little bit and bring up the point that when you have a new system, a lot of times your leads are going into your CRM. But if you want to really think about it too, if you have anything that you need to promote to a database, you have a live database sitting right there within your CRM with, most databases I've seen of agents that have been in the business for at least a few years, it's a pretty large database. Usually you guys are really great at, meeting people, gaining contacts, getting those emails in there with some information. So what I like to bring up is the fact that if you are a new app user and you're saying, I really want to get this out to my network, I always say the very first network you want to get this out to is your sphere of influence, to your existing sphere, because those are the people that you're usually in the most close contact with. So I always say, leverage your Follow Up Boss, leverage your CRM, go in there and create a campaign. Number one, day one, to create that campaign to introduce the app to your database. Put in the value props, put in the reason why they would want to download it. It's a local tool. It's direct to you. Their information safe. They're not being advertised to by third-party advertisers. They're getting direct MLS information. This example that's playing on the screen right now is an example, of an email that can be sent out just to talk about those value points of exactly why you'd want to download the app. Number two, you're getting things sent out from your CRM constantly of these drip campaigns and these different action plans that are being set up. Make sure that every signature has a call to action to download the app. These are all opportunities. Even if you're in your Gmail, make sure that, or Outlook, any of your outgoing messaging, you want to have it there because you want it to be accessible and you want it to be visible. Nowadays, anytime we do anything, they used to say in marketing, you need to see something 5 to 7 times before you take action on it. Because of the digital place that we're in right now as a society, that number has jumped up to about 20. You need to see about 20 times before you take action. And that's not always the case, especially when you're dealing with your sphere. But when you think about that, it's like, okay, I need to make sure I'm putting any call to action. And the reason why the effort is so important and worthwhile is because, again, when you have them on Zillow, Redfin, Trulia, et cetera, not saying those places are bad places to search, but if they're already working with you, that's definitely not where you want them searching, seeing your competitors. You want them in your safe ecosystem. You want them returning to you and your place to communicate with them directly, where they're getting an answer on a property, a response, help. And so that's something I always like to just point out on this point. Number one, leverage your CRM to promote your app. Again, for the existing app users on the call today, I think that's so important. And then the other examples here are just, leveraging social media. The app goes hand in hand with social media, hands down, because if I'm on Instagram and I'm scrolling, I'm looking at a story, someone's talking about this awesome new property that was just listed in my neighborhood, I click on it, it brings me straight to the app to view. It's seamless. It's a very mobile friendly. We make it this way intentionally and on purpose. We want that seamless experience so that they're returning over and over to stay in your ecosystem. Point number two, which we kind of already totally touched on, which is, okay, now you've gotten it out there, you're promoting, people are now inbounding into Follow Up Boss from your app. As Andrew and Kendall really were talking about here, now it's like part two really comes into place. And this is, again, where you're leveraging both systems and this action plan, keeping them in the system where you're kind of understanding what stage they're in. And then now comes the follow-up. Again, having a follow-up plan to continue to remind people to use the app, reminding them to click on listings. If you have something just listed or any type of market reports, again, bringing them back into the app, bringing them into that ecosystem is really imperative. And it's really going to just bring it home. And I know I won't stay on number two too long because we already covered that.
No, that's great.
And Kendall, did you have something? I thought you were going to interject there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I didn't want to interrupt. Just
Yeah.
one with lead generation and marketing the app. The other thing I want to remind you, our audience, that our team does is we also introduce the app at every buyer consultation. Like before they leave from work, like meeting with us, we're like, here, whip out your phone, download the app, select me as your agent. And that way that agent and that customer are directly connected through the app so they can see everything in their profile. Like just even that face-to-face time, don't forget to get that customer connected on your tools. I think sometimes we're thinking about so many other things. We forget that little tidbit, and that's a great place. You've already shown them value. Get them on the app right then and there, gets them excited to use it, and it gets them looking at properties right away. So you can get to the showings, to get to the negotiating, and get to the closing.
For sure.
Love that.
We all want to get to the closing.
Yeah.
And then point number three that we wanted to really, drive home here is, being data driven, which is back to the same point of like providing people what they want. We all know what it's like to get spammed all day long, through mail, email, phone calls, texts of things that might not have anything to do with us. LinkedIn is like my perfect example. Like some of the wild, preset messages I get where I'm like, I'm not even in that industry. I don't know where you got this information. What are you talking about? Like, I don't even like going on there sometimes because it's just full of, stuff that has nothing to do with me.
So true.
So when people get messages that are really close to home and are very curated towards them, it means something to them. And what happens is you don't go in this mental spam filter of them not paying attention to what they're getting, because every time you send them something, it's irrelevant. So on the automated property alerts, just kind of to bring that point home, you're able to set up save searches from the HomeStack system as well. So if you go into HomeStack, you're able to go in there and set up a save search based on their criteria. So as you're gaining this information on this new person that is, putting in information about what they want to see, if they're viewing properties or seeing trends, you can go in there and set them up on any type of search you want. And they're going to get automated property alerts on those particular, that area, that criteria, those filters. They're in the driver's seat. They can do that at any time on their own app, in their own experience. But just so you guys know, this is something that you can do on the back end. You can go in there to the user account from your HomeStack dashboard. You're able to go in and set whatever you want them to see, get alerts on, label it as whatever you want, throw in some emojis, make it fun. And they're going to be getting alerted on that. And then as they're viewing that stuff, this is also funneling back into follow-up bots. So we want that cohesive experience. And I'll let you take it from here, Rachel.
And then going back to the custom push notifications and that curated content, the app allows you to take it even further and even sometimes beyond a transaction. So if you have favorite vendors, restaurants in your town, if you're involved in charity work and you want to send out anything about people, donating, if you have a podcast and you want to blast out, hey, we're going live in 15 minutes, click this link and you'll be listening to the podcast as you're on your run, or whatever it is. However you want to communicate to your people and to your users, you can get that message out to them via custom push notifications. So it's just like the Target app or Facebook or the apps that you have on your phone that you want to hear from, as far as, specials that they're having or discounts that they're having. People want to get communicated to, as Evey was saying, just about the stuff that they really care about. So you guys have the ability to do that from a HomeStack app. You can blast out custom personalized messages to people if you're having an open house or charity drive or whatever, back to your social media, whatever the case may be. And their email inboxes are not getting gunked up. Like I always think about my email at like Black Friday when I had like a million messages of, this store and that store. And I'm like, I haven't even, shopped there in like 5 years. So it's a really kind of curated, targeted marketing experience that you have the ability to do to your clients. Again, then all that comes back to your FUB. So brings it full circle. This is a really cool, fun kind of outside the box feature.
Definitely.
Can I add
go ahead,
there?
Kendall.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think is like what the push notification is a game changer. Let me just say that. Can I say that again for the people in the back? The push notification is a game changer. For example, how can you use this push notification in addition to what they talked about? Absolutely use it to blast your open houses, right? Because this can go out to everyone in the database, right? A lot of agents on teams tend to just market to their specific database. Well, if you're part of a team using the app, you can market to everyone in the database of the entire team, because you never know who's working with a customer that might be interested in that particular home. Another thing to do, like Florida, we have Strawberry Festival, we have, just different parades, different events going on. This is a great way to introduce people into your community and tell them about what's major happening in your city and in your community. Another great thing is when you drop like not just a podcast, but a YouTube video, the top 10 ways or things you can do today to get prepared for home ownership in the future. Like drive traffic to your YouTube channel, drive traffic to your podcast, drive traffic to the content that you're creating that's helpful and relevant to those consumers. It's just such a powerful tool that, people will ignore their email, they'll ignore their text, but you know what they usually don't ignore often are the push notifications in their apps, because they just don't come as fast and furious as those other things. So it's a little easier for them to, when they get into the app, go ahead and check their notifications. I've got 2 or 3, it's manageable. And I think it's relevant to them. And then someone asked the question about, you answered it, Evey. You would do the alerts from the HomeStack app itself. And it's a really, really, really powerful tool. It was one of the main reasons why I was like, oh yeah, to this.
I always say that too. I'm like, if it were me and I was making a deciding factor, that would have been the one. That's always like, I always say I could go on and on about that feature, because coming from a marketing background, it's like there's so much noise happening right now that anytime you can get a leg up on something that hasn't been completely red taped, where there's like spam filters and things it's just difficult sometimes to get to the consumer. And so push notifications is one of those things that's very untapped. I guarantee you your competitor's really not doing it. So it's just something to really get an edge and to get that messaging out. And again, it keeps bringing them into the experience, and it makes the whole effort of doing all of this worth it, because you're getting the eyeballs, you're getting the attention, you're keeping them in your ecosystem, which is absolutely the most important thing. So before we log off today, because I know we only have a few more minutes, I know there's a few people on the call that really are more Follow Up Boss users, not necessarily HomeStack users, and vice versa. So there have been some links that have been put out in the chat today. So if you do want to sign up for any Follow Up Boss trials, get more information there. There's information there for us at homestack.com. If you want to go visit us there, we are offering a special today for anybody that was viewing the webinar that are available to get a 35% off discount off any development charges, which is cost, which is huge savings there. So just mention the Follow Up Boss webinar. All of our team members are aware that you guys are on the call today, so they're happy to help you out with that when you go onto the website and inquire for more information. But kind of to back up here just for a second, why an app? We just want to throw out some basics. So we do have a direct feed to the MLS. So no matter where you are in the country, there is a direct feed that goes straight into the app. So the information is very accurate. Again, we have the custom push notifications, automated property alerts. You are able to have an in-app chat back and forth with your clients straight from the app. That's multi-user too. So if you want to bring in your lender, the spouse, anybody else, you can have a multi-user chat going on. Also, full back-end rich analytics to give you information on everything that's happening. And the theme of our webinar today, CRM integrations as well, to make sure that that's a seamless experience. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of information. I know some people are probably have major questions. So I wanted to just kind of go through too and see if anybody were welcome to jump in if you guys see any questions you want to answer before we jump off as well.
As you look for questions, Evey, Jake did just post the Follow-Up Boss Help Center link. So that's there too.
Perfect.
I'm not going to say the URL because it's a little too long and too many characters, but it's right there. It's one of the last 3 things posted by Jake. So that way, if you want to learn more about campaigns, action plans, setup, anything we covered today or outside of we covered today, we have 7-day-a-week support, and it all starts at that link. So wanted to add that.
Awesome. And I think we're kind of coming to the end of our time here, but I did get a question of how can I bring my team into using the same app as me? Great question. Some of our clients have signed up as a single individual user that owns their app, and they are, seeking to have more of an experience like Kendall's been explaining, where you have your entire team. That is absolutely set up for that. It's just a matter of kind of getting a hold of us so that we can talk you through the process of upgrading you to a team experience versus a single seat, which is not a problem at all. We'll be happy to help you out with that. So you can, reach out to our support team and we can help you out with that.
I went online, Kendall, a few days ago just to learn more about you. And one of the places I landed was your Google reviews. And I don't know, I hardly ever see 500 or so reviews with 5 stars. And don't worry, there are some 4 stars in there, but to average 5, now after this webinar, it all makes sense. Okay. I get it, because I wanted to see what the special sauce was, but no, I commend you on that. That's probably where so many people are going to vet you and your team, and to see that is incredible. So I just wanted to give you a lot of accolades and props for that. That's very impressive.
Thank you. I think anything you decide to make intentional and you get proactive about, you can achieve. And that's one of my goals, is to have 5-star reviews on Google. That we're intentional about that. And so thank you. And it's because people do go to Google to learn about you. And of course, they're going to go to your social media and scroll and kind of confirm you are who you say you are. But there's nothing better than social proof to show who you actually are. So thank you for noticing.
I noticed, and I think we all know that Google doesn't allow you to delete 3 stars and 4 stars. You got them all. But so I was just like very impressed by that, and I wish you the best, and I hope we can do a webinar with you soon. I know I think I speak for Evey and Rachel. We'd love to do another one. It's fantastic.
Absolutely, this is a lot of fun.
Absolutely, yes.
So
thank you, everyone,
info.
and everyone that joined today. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
guys.
everyone. See you soon.
Thank you.
Awesome.